As Drukpa USA Vice President has just mentioned, I am very happy that this time, during my visit to USA, I am able to reach out not just to the Sangha of the United States, but the whole Drukpa America. And due to the pandemic and different travel restrictions of different countries, I think it's not possible for me to go to all the countries at once during this time. However, at the same time, people say that time goes very fast. But I feel that actually it's not really time, but the life goes very fast. And we might be able to meet each other physically next year, but then 1 year of our life has finished. And it will be quite sad if every year if we can't find a way to connect each other in a meaningful way. That's why I requested Drukpa USA to organize, work with all the Drukpa Americas to make this into a virtual session for all the Drukpa American Sangha. So I once again thank everyone involved in making this possible. And and I felt that today's topic on teaching on Amitabha Buddha, and especially with the practice of Amitabha Buddha, how to face death without, I can't say fearlessly, but with much less fear, and a bit of, I can say, even joyfully attitude. How is that? How can we do that? Is very important, especially at this time and juncture, because as we all know, due to the global pandemic, so many people have lost their life. In the United States alone, more than 1 million people have lost their life. There's even term for COVID orphan. Many children have lost both their father and mother. Within the Himalayan community also we have lost. I think also in Brazil also, I think there was a lot of people who lost their life. Even when I was flying into Los Angeles, I met one, like a steward, and I think he was telling me why I'm going. I said, oh, I'm going to USA to meet some of my families and friends, and after long, it's been very long and I haven't met with them. And he was sharing that he also lost some of his relatives. So anyway, when you talk to people, somehow or other, many people have lost their loved ones. So I think that in some way, I think they have gone through this pain, and maybe some of you may be able to handle it. Some of you may have not really processed it, just kind of hidden. Sometimes we take a long time to process, so we have a tendency to avoid certain painful things, just avoiding it, not really processing it. So I thought that this Amitabha Buddha teaching may be of great benefit at this particular juncture. And that's also the reason why on Saturday we are doing the prayer dedicated to all the COVID, the people who lost their life during the COVID, and all the beings who have lost their life. So, I thought this will be of benefit, and I hope that my aspirations, will come true. Now, coming directly to the Amitabha Buddha teaching and how to face death, with that. So, generally speaking, we have to first kind of reflect that when we as a human being right now, when we exist, when we are alive, I will say there's a physical element to us and there's a mental element of us. For example, physical element is the body, then the mental element is the consciousness that resides in the body. So if you read the scripture, they always say that the physical body is like a guest house, like a hotel, and the consciousness is like a customer. And then when we die, the guest has to leave the guest house sooner or later. in the many Himalayan kind of scriptures you always find like that, that Namshi Lu, the Lu Di, Chungkang, that means Kunkim, Namshi Jumbo, Namshi Gum. They're so bored, and one day they have to, the guest and the guest house has to be separated. So that is a kind of the thought that is usually in the, if you are familiar with the kind of the Buddhist way of thinking is like that. However, in the modern generation, many of you may not be familiar with such thought. Some of the kind of the new thoughts are that the mind is nothing but kind of something that is created by the neurons or some sort of the electrodes or something like that. However, from the spiritual point of view, we say that for everything there is a cause and effect, which means there is a preceding, something that precedes the what do you call it, whatever is there. Nothing just comes out of existence like nothing. For example, if there is an orange that you are eating, it didn't magically appear in your hand or in the supermarket, nor did some like a divine being through the apple. Even if you just check why the orange is there, you can look back at the transportation, then the farmer planting, then the seed, the water, the sun, so many cause the condition arises, and then there's the orange here. Similarly, if we trace back our physical body, where did it come from? We can trace it back to our father and mother's essence. Basically, we come from them. That is, I think, we all can agree to that. However, what we have to ask ourselves is, if our physical body came from our parent, where did our mind come from? Where did our consciousness come from? Now, if we say that consciousness just happened, then basically we are just assuming, we are not really giving any, there's not much of a reason, we're just saying, it just happened, and that's it. But from the spiritual point of view, we say that physical body came from our parent, but our mental chain of consciousness, or the continuation of the consciousness, is not something that comes from father and mother, but is continuation of our previous lives and lives, the continuation of the consciousness. Chain of consciousness we call it, because consciousness is also not something that is a one and stable and unmoving, because consciousness means thought, and thoughts are always one after another, the ceaseless thoughts, that is the stream of consciousness is basically what we call, in the other religion they call it soul, but the idea of the soul is something that is, something that is unchanging, something that is like a, like a one single entity, that doesn't change over the time. But from a Buddha's teaching, when we say I, it is this, or the mind, which is like a chain of consciousness. It is something that is, the one that is, it's like a saying, that if you see a river, that is flowing, the river, in terms of the, every river is not exactly the same, because it's preceded by another, but the stream of the river is the same. There are many streams of river. So similarly, from the Buddhist point of view, we say that our thoughts are basically a stream of consciousness that follows another, and that stream is what we call as I, or what we identify as I, or me, or my, or the me, or I am, so and so. So anyway, if you kind of put it in a nutshell, our consciousness came from the previous consciousness, or previous life. Our physical body will change, but the consciousness, the chain of consciousness will continue. So that is why we say that if you understand the karma, you will also understand the previous life and future life, because if you understand karma, it means you understand cause and effect. So that is why, from the the Buddhist practice point of view, the preparing for the death, and especially how to kind of knowing how to process the process of the dying, or when we lose someone, how to help others, where we can be reborn, how to choose the rebirths, become very important. Now, according to different levels, different yogis of different higher levels, they have ability to choose their birth. through practices and the many etc. Now this part I think we won't go into it. Now for us, for a beginner like us, for ordinary people like us, what is this something that is within our capacity that we can do to make sure that when our body, the guest house, and the consciousness that is the guest departs, we can hopefully find a very good guest house, right? Maybe not a guest house called pig, or I don't know, some cow or something, but something that is a pleasurable rebirth, right? Pleasant rebirth. How do we kind of determine that? So that's why when we do, for example, prayers, and we say, we do for positive rebirth, we are talking like that, right? But so among the, the many of the rebirths that one wishes for, there is one is recommended to have a, the rebirth for the pure land of the Amitabha Buddha. So whether it's for ourselves or for people that we have lost. So what is the pure land? How does pure land come from? What does pure land mean? So from the the Buddhist perspective, there is no end to the universe. There is no we won't say that the earth is center of the galaxy. Buddha has said that wherever there is a space, there is a sentient beings. The worlds are there, sentient beings are there. Wherever there is a space, there are sentient beings. And Buddha, in many of his teachings, already talked about multiverses and multi-universe and many galaxies. During Buddha's time, there was even times when bodhisattvas from different planets will come and visit Buddha, receive teaching, and they have a debate. If you read the sutra, so now I guess at that time, we didn't really have the term like a UFO and aliens and all of that. I think in this day, I think they won't be called visiting Buddha, but probably we'll call them aliens, and UFOs, right? But during Buddha's time, it was kind of very normal. If you read the scriptures, you'd find that these are more than 2,700 years ago. You are there. They are very clearly written there. So Buddha himself also talked about many kind of such a world existence. So among these world existing pure lands, and why is it called pure land? Is because this world of ours that we live now is not really called pure land. It's not pure land because this world that we live in is a result of our collective karma, which means as a result of whoever is born in this world have created the condition to this mountain, the mountain, the sea, the river, or in today's 21st century, you can say that climate change is a collective karma of each and every one of us, right? We may not have gone and cut down the trees, but we are happy to use the papers, happy to consume the whatever we are buying from the supermarket. We are driving the car. We may not be drilling the ocean for the oil, but we are happy to use the gas, and we are happy to complain about the price of the gas, which means actually we want to use more gas, and for cheaper, right? So there's a collective, our karma for climate change is the collective karma. So from the karma point of view, we say that this world is a result of the collective karma, and collective karma, some great good karma, some great bad karma. So that's why in the world also we have different kind of countries. Some are very pleasant to live in, some are very unpleasant to live. Some have very clean air, some have very polluted air, So even in the world, the pollution levels differs across the countries. So due to you can call it karma or the choice or actions of the collective and individuals. So the pure land is called because when the Buddhas are about to get enlightened, they accomplish three things. First is accumulation of a certain amount of merit, benefiting certain being, and then they have ability to kind of manifest or make a wish that due to all my accumulation of merit and practice, I wish that due to my karma, such a world be manifested. Because of my karma, I want the world like this. For example, Amitabha Buddha made a wish that when I become a Buddha, I wish there to arise from my karma a planet or a world where there will people, where there will be no impure. In terms of physical, also there will be no impure, which means that in Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, it is said there is no ravens, no deserts, no I guess, no water shortages, no extreme heats or extreme colds and tornadoes and typhoons, and that kind of unpleasant things, no scorpions or snakes or whatever, that physically also it is supposed to be very, very beautiful, very beautiful, and it is, if you read the scriptures, the prayers that we read, it says like the earth is also supposed to be like I think something almost like a sofa seat, if you press down, it comes up, I think it's like very, and then the materials are made of gold, and grasses are like a silver, lakes are like crystal clear, inside the lakes they have the precious stones, and animals are also his manifestation, talking with, reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, and whatever you wish for will be there, and anyone who is born there also, they have a divine form. They live for eons and eons. Buddha Amitabha himself it is said that our 10 eons is equal to 10 days, or 1 eon is equal to 1 day of Amitabha Buddha. So even when 1,000 Buddhas have come and gone in this world, Amitabha Buddha will still be there, because that was his aspiration for this kind of world to be there. So it is called the Pure Land. Now sometimes we think, that how can that be possible? How can there such land be possible? But if you really think about it, in this world also, you see mountains, you see rivers. Mountains have different shape. Who made all of this, right? So either if you are a believer in other religion, you have to say God made the mountain and made the shape, and then on the 6th day, 7th day, he was tired, so he rested. So that is one way of thinking. I'm not saying right or wrong. Or another way, you're saying everything is accident, there is no cause and effect. But as a Buddhist, we have to understand that the mountains, the river arises due to the collective karma. Even the rice that we are eating, that maybe the rice itself, but the original rice must have been found in the wild, and then humans have cultivated it. So so even the rice that we are eating is also due to collective karma arise from the nature. Right? So. So anyway, the Amitabha Buddha Pure Land is said to be like that. And once you are born there, you also live for eons and eons. So, so now as a Buddhist practitioner, why do we want to be reborn there? Now some might say that, that Amitabha's Buddha Pure Land sounds very much like a, like a holiday resort, You go there, you're born there, and then you eat and sleep, and for eons and eons, nothing to do, right? So that is not actually the correct view. The reason why, as a Buddhist practitioner, we want to go there is because for us, Amitabha Buddha Pure Land is not a goal in itself, but is a means to an end. Because we understand that if we do not make the aspiration and create the condition for us to be reborn in Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, let's say next life we are born into animal realm. Even within the human realm, let's say we are born as a very son of a billionaire. But maybe that billionaire owns, lots of restaurants, and the lots of is the biggest seller of the chicken meat or pork meat, right? So he has billions of billions, maybe from seafood business. Yes, in that life, because of your past karma, you are enjoying a very nice, but every time your business is sustained through taking the lives of billions beings, so that means in another next life, you are going to have a very difficult time, right? I don't think we will meet even Buddha Dharma, or we'll go through tremendous suffering. So that is why if we cannot be enlightened within this life, our backup option is very much recommended to make an aspiration to be born into Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. Because once there, in the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, Buddha Amitabha is there, Avalokiteshvara, Tara, Cherizik, Guru Padmasambha, all other Buddhas are there. So then with their teaching, and then you use that place to progress on your spiritual path for you to one day become a Buddha. And once you become a Buddha, then again you come back to samsara to help other sentient beings, right? But in order for you to help others, you need to have a certain quality. If you want to help other people, you need something in yourself that you have to give. if you don't have some stability in your mind, some wisdom, something to share, what can you share, right? If you want to help others in a medical way, you must at least have a medical knowledge to share. So right now we don't, so that is why we make an aspiration to born to Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, and then through the teachings and the guidance we have the quality, and then we come back to help the other sentient beings. So in the prayer also it is said like that. So that is the, and then why do we particularly make an aspiration to be reborn in Amitabha Buddha Pure Land is because Amitabha Buddha set the, what do you call it? You can call it the visa entry very low, right? Some countries you need, to get a visa is almost impossible, right? It's designed in such a way that you get rejected. You need bank balance, you need, the letter, you need all the document, and still you get rejected, So certain countries are designed like that. But Amitabha Buddha intentionally made an aspiration that in my world, and even ordinary people like us, who are not enlightened, who are not some great master or something, will be able to reborn as long as they fulfill, certain conditions, right? 4 conditions especially. The first one is, visualizing the Amitabha Buddha and his pure land, and at least understanding it, remembering Amitabha Buddha constantly. Remembering the Amitabha Buddha is in the western direction. Even when you do Amitabha Buddha prayer, you are supposed to recommend it to face the western direction. Even if you don't have a shrine, you can have a lamb offering and all towards the western direction, prostrate toward the western part of the world. And then remembering Amitabha Buddha is the number 1 quality. And then the second is, doing purification and accumulating merit, which means that through the 12 branches, for example, doing prostration or confessing whatever negative karma we have done, and offering lamb or prayer, whatever, the ways of accumulating merit. Maybe you do Om Mani Padme Hum 100 times, or maybe you do Om Mani Devaji 100 times, maybe you do 3 prostration. That is accumulation of merit as well as purification. Because when you do prostration, when you touch your forehead, throat and heart, you are saying, whatever I have done from my body, that's such like killing other people, stealing other, the others, or maybe having a, physical relationship with people who are already in relationship with other people and breaking their relationship. Such kind of negative karma I have done from my body, may they be purified. Whatever I have done from my speech, such as lying, saying hurtful words, the causing division among the people, the dun, chama, tsiksup, gossiping, may they be purified. Whatever I have done from my heart, wish to harm other people, coveting others what they have, wrong views, saying there's no Buddha, there's no karma, all the wrong views may be purified. So even when you do prostration like that, that's the purification.
Todas as visões falhas, que tudo seja purificado.
So prostration can also be a purification, and prostration can also be accumulation of merit. For example, when you touch your forehead, one time you think of the purification, negative karma we have done. Karma basically sounds very complicated. Karma means action. So whatever actions I have done for my body physically that has harmed others is negative action. Whatever I have said from my words that have come out from my mouth that have hurt others, deceived others, caused division, problem between other people because of my word. Maybe I'm taking the news from here and sharing there, right? Even though you don't work for CNN, we are happy to share the news, what they said about you, what you said about them, and they were very happy, Maybe they said it in the heat of a moment, right? Maybe they didn't really mean it. Many of the times we say things without much awareness, right? We also regret it. But when it's reported, it won't be reported in the context, it will be reported verbatim, In verbatim, reporting can create a lot of misunderstanding. So, right? So that's why this also is a negative karma of the speech. Gossiping is also a negative karma because we hardly gossip about how great they are, how wonderful they are. They have graduated to a top degree. No, we gossip about the scandalous things. No, right? How bad they are doing, how shameless they are, what they are doing. No, all the negative things. So and then we also feel satisfaction. Why? Because we feel I can talk bad about them. I am so great and I am not doing any of these, right? There is satisfaction in the talking bad of other people because that makes you feel that you are a little bit better than them, no? That's why we enjoy, I think, criticizing others. And if you have to justify our worth by putting others down, then is a very sad way of, I think, having a self-confidence. So anyway, from the speech, from the mind, if I have thought of harming other people, hurting other people, taking away what belongs to others, having a wrong view saying that my actions have no consequences. So these are the wrong views of the negative karma of the mind. So with that sort of attitude, a prostration is a purification. Now if we do prostration as accumulation of merit, for example, when I touch my forehead, I remember with the devotion Buddha Amitabha's form, Buddha Amitabha's image, and then I prostrate to his physical, the qualities. When I think of his, from my speech, from my heart, from my mind, I remember his speech qualities for the Buddha. From my heart, I remember his love and kindness, unconditional compassion to all sentient beings. So when you are remembering the positive qualities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattva, it becomes accumulation of merit. Right? So accumulation of merit and purification doesn't really have to be something physically different, but it's the attitude that's the different. Right? So purification is a time of more of recognizing, reflecting inward, and seeing when I say something, when I do something, when I think the way I think, does it harm others or benefit others? It's a more of a self-reflection, and that's important because even in the sutra it is said that until you accept your mistake, there is no purification. And I guess in a modern way we can say that until we accept there's something wrong in the way we live, what we do, there will be no positive change. If you keep doing the same thing, the result will be the same thing. So this is the thing, and then the accumulation merit part is more of a the positive attitude of beneficial. Either it is for benefiting others, or even if just admiring the Buddha's physical speech and the mental quality, also it is a positive attitude, because that positive attitude is not about our value being judged by looking down on others. It's rather to seeing good in others, starting from the Buddha and then towards everybody. If we are really honest with ourselves, even in the worst person that we know, we will find many good qualities. Right? You might say, oh, she is a very lazy person, but very kind-hearted. If you are really honest, yeah, like that. He is a very this, but at home he works very hard. He likes to drink a little bit, but whatever earning he has, he gives to the family. Right? And when you see good in others, you also feel, you also encourage others to be the best version of themselves. People are like a flower. If you put all the no sun, no water, nothing, people will wilt in front of our eyes. But when you see the good thing in others, say positive thing to them, it encourages them to be the best version of themselves. So anyway, the four kind of quality. One is the visualizing Amitabha Buddha and his pure land. Second is accumulation, merit and purification. And the third is, I want to be reborn Amitabha Buddha, not just for myself, but every sentient being who have died, who is dying right now, who is in the Pardo intermediate stage right now. May all of us be born in Amitabha Buddha pure land. And then the last one is the dedication. That means after prostration, after doing nyungne, after doing tara practice, whatever practice you do, you have to make a dedication that one day, I will die. For example, from my own experience, especially when I'm doing a retreat, every night, I always do Amitabha Buddha short prayer, the Wasar Sangye Nawathaya, Yesucho, Tujishin Buddha, and I do prostration, and then when I do prostration, I think that, today, how many people may have died today, and maybe some of them are asking for my help, some of them maybe not, but anyway, they are karmically connected. May they be reborn Amitabha Buddha pure land. And today I am sleeping, but tomorrow, there's no 100% guarantee that I will wake up, right? Because my friend, I think, my friend Rebirth used to joke with me that, today somebody died very strangely. I said, what happened? Did he have a heart attack or something? He said, no, he could, he just stopped breathing, right? So we think that dying is such a dramatic effect in some music or something, or we get some premonition that we are going to die, but I don't think that. I think 99.9% don't know they are going to wake up, don't know they are not going to wake up. That is why look at the way we look at our life. When we think of problem also, we hardly think about death and next life problem. We are busy thinking of, next 10 year, 20 year, my marriage, or then after my children, then grandchildren, and then great grandchildren only. We have endless worries because we believe we are going to live forever. Nobody is prepared to go. Right? That is why going is very difficult, because there is no preparation, there is no acceptance of that fact. So that's why, for myself, at least especially during the retreat, so I say, maybe tomorrow I may not be able to wake up. If I'm not able to wake up, then I hope that, I will not be attached, to this dream-like life of mine, this dream-like life, like a friends of mine, loved ones, house, whatever we have is like a dream-like. For example, 3-4 years ago we met, we had so many events here, we bought the Drukpa Center. Now it's a dream, right? We went to Brazil, we went to Peru, it's like a dream. Forget about a few years ago. What happened this morning is right now's dream. What we are doing now is tomorrow's dream. In this dream called life, how many people we have met, how many people that we have met have passed away, they are no longer here. How many times we have fought with our friends and then became, again we got back together, again we fought, How many times we have cried, we have thought it was end of this world. Now how many times we have laughed and felt so happy that we thought we couldn't be happier than this, but now it's a dream. All these experiences, so life is dream like a life, illusion like a life, dream like a life. May I not have attachment to it. So not having an attachment. The reason why I say this aspiration is because the pain comes from the attachment, right? And attachment, some people misunderstand saying that attachment is something like a caring. No, that doesn't mean, right? Attachment is the idea that everything will be permanent. Actually, if you don't have attachment, you will actually be more caring. For example, if you can understand that the person that you are spending your life with, maybe your husband, your wife, or your friend, or your family, or your sangha, if we know that one day, sooner or later, they will also not be in this world, we will also not be in this world, simply because we stop breathing, right? Then right now we are so angry with that person because he didn't change the baby's nappy, or I don't know, prepare the coffee when I came out. Will it really matter, right? Tomorrow when that person is lying in a coffin or cremation, the fact that he forgot to put the clothes in the laundry, is that really important at that point? I don't think so. And then I think there will be much more appreciation, tolerance, understanding, right? So there's the attachment comes from some sort of misconception, illusion that we have fooled ourselves that things are not changing every second. Right? I think, I'm not sure, but I think one of the main reason why the global pandemic was so difficult for us emotionally is because it tore away the illusion and put the impermanence in front of our eyes. People were dying, and you didn't know when you can die, what will happen, who you will lose, right? It brought the impermanence very, very openly, in forefront. It's always there, but usually it's a very hidden, we have managed to fool ourselves very nicely, right? Actually yes, the pandemic may have killed how many people, but death itself has killed how many, Just look at every time I, come to our center, I see the Queen Cemetery, So many, the headstones you can see. That many people have died in America. And maybe, maybe they had green card, maybe they had citizen, but they still had to die, right? Maybe they had a high-paying job, 2 kids, fence with a white fence, they still had to die and leave this world, right? And before, whether there was pandemic or not, our cremation grounds are always busy, cemeteries are busy all the time, hospitals are busy. How many people are dying each and every second? And not only dying, but even we are also, every second, our cells are dying, aging, changing. Every second is impermanent. Even the houses are going through change. So, but somehow or other we have kind of managed to convince ourselves that is not so. That's why we feel a sense of security. Right? So right now with the COVID down, going better, we feel, it's okay. Now I'm not going to die. Now we are not going to die. Now COVID is gone. Now no, we don't need to die anymore. Right? Which is not true actually. COVID there or not, we are all going to die one day. That is like one guaranteed thing, right? No doctor in the world can say that tomorrow you will wake up, I can guarantee you. No. So how do we get confidence in such a to such fact? So there's 2 ways. One is the way we have been usually doing. We avoid it, we ignore it, we don't think about it. If you feel these kind of things, suddenly you have to go on social media or TikTok or watch a movie and go and meet your friend, lift your mood up, or maybe drink some red wine and then forget all of that, forget all your problem. And you fool yourself, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. And fooling only years and years will go, and then suddenly, one day no more wake up, no more waking up, that's it. That's one way of, facing life. But it's not really facing, it's avoidance, The second way of, the kind of accepting and dealing with dealing with impermanence, actually to understand it and utilize it, right? Understand that, that every relationship that we have is impermanent. Not only is it impermanent because one day we all have to separate, but every relationship means emotion. Emotion means thought. Thoughts are constantly changing. That's why if you have been married for 30 years, I am quite certain that their relationship will go through many, many evolutions, right? Changes. Right? You can call it, for negative way of calling it, saying, very romantic before, but now no more romantic, no more spark, right? A positive way of calling is our relationship is much more deeper and richer, is more firm, is based on a deep respect and mutual understanding, right? But basically what you are saying, it has changed, right? No? So, and it will continue to evolve because relationships, our emotions, our thoughts are constantly evolving. So, impermanence is not something only when you divorce, but every time, everything, thoughts are constantly changing, physical structures are constantly changing, right? Our bodies are constantly changing. So now, then even if you become the President of the United States today, from the day you are inaugurated, your clock down has already started, for you until your term ends. It's not that your term ends on the November or something, From the moment inaugural is the time that, the clock has already started. So with that sort of attitude, I think if you accept it, then there's a preparation for it. There's a preparation in the way you look at your life. You have a money, yes, but for you, money is not something. For money, you will kill, you will lie, you will, use whatever means in order to get the money. For money, you will ruin your health, ruin your family, and then at the end of the day, you die and your millions are being enjoyed by somebody else, And that will not happen because you know that you are impermanent. Monies are also impermanent. The value of the money itself is, depends on the, so many ups and downs stock market, Every second there's going to change. So then you will see the wealth as nothing but a tool. You will enjoy it. Why not? Money is not bad. The money is not bad. Our attitude makes it good or bad, harmful or beneficial. So you will use the wealth as a way to benefit others and benefit yourself. Have a nice cup of coffee, rather than regret when somebody else is having coffee with your money, in the future, when you are in a bar door and somebody else enjoying your coffee and driving a nice car, there's a lot of regret. Oh, I should have done it. I worked so hard, but they are enjoying it, right? So you don't need to, because you understood the impermanence, right? And then in the future, when you lose someone, your loved one, you don't have to say, oh, I should spend more time with my father, my mother, my sister. I should have been more understanding, right? Because then you will not only have the pain of the losing someone you loved, but the guilt on top of that, guilt and regret, right? The pain of losing someone, that is something we will go through, but at least we will not have the regret, because we understood the impermanent nature of our loved ones. We accepted it, we faced it, so that when they are together with us, maybe they are together with you 24/7, maybe you meet them once a month or once a year, or whenever you met them with a smile. If they irritate you a little bit, you took it, because it doesn't matter, right? It's what irritated you today, it doesn't irritate you tomorrow. It doesn't, in the grand, the life, it doesn't, in the face of impermanent nature, it doesn't really matter, right? You have a nice, the temple. I always tell the Drukpa USA's, centers, or other Drukpa centers, my temples also, that, it will make me very happy. Every time I come to a temple, I see that it is, it has been finished from overuse, That means it has benefited a lot of people, right? People might think that, oh, I'll be very unhappy if the center is too used and now it's like a kind of, no, I'll be very happy, because anyway, no matter, even if nobody comes to your temple, physically itself is degrading every second. Every building has with a certain life expectancy, 60 years, 70 years. So it is impermanent every second. So rather having to use it for benefiting others and yours, isn't that more worthy of, physical structures and temples? So similarly, you have a fame also, you will use your fame to be in a meaningful way, right? And not only you will use the fame in a meaningful way, you would have so much of fear associated with the fear, right? With the fame. If you have some sort of fame and popularity, but there's a lot of attachment to it, believing that they are permanent, then fame will actually cause you depression, because you are constantly worried about the fame. My fame will go down, my popularity will go down, another singer, another more popular has come, then you have to go into depression, and then the wealth and fame itself destroys you. Right? So that without understanding the impermanent nature of everything, everything that is supposed to give us joy, it can become, a heavy burden, and it can become, I think, a cause of suffering. So that is why I think to understand the impermanent nature of the life, relationship, to enjoy it fully, appreciate it very much, right? That's why I was saying also that some of my friends I was meeting in New York, I was like, please let's meet and let's have a lunch together, right? Because even if we meet next year, that means 1 year of this life is finished. We should never come back, right? We have a life, today we have a 1 hour having a nice lunch. Oh, that's very good. We met together. It's very wonderful. I really appreciate it, right? So then, so this kind of, what do you call it? Attachment to the idea that things are permanent and unchanging and solid and real, that is the greatest attachment that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about not caring, not caring for your family, not caring for your, just understanding that there's a saying in one of the teachings of one of the highlights of the Buddha is that anything that is compounded is impermanent. Right? But the flower is impermanent because flower is there because of whatever. Right now it looks red because I don't know what makes it alive, because of so many cause and conditions coming together. And then when the cause and condition, anything that is arise due to many cause and conditions coming together will always change, will always be impermanent. As one of the laws of the Buddha taught, anything that is compounded. So that's why I think, even if your management, I think it's the same. One day you think that, oh, now I have set up my organization very well. now I have no problem. It's a well-oiled machine, right? Then you come back after 6 months and your well-oiled machine has become a rusted machine. Why? Because it's a compounded thing. Your organization is composed of human beings. Human beings are composed of their own action, their own thoughts and experiences of life. And they change. When one changes, your organization, a well-oiled machine, has already changed. So there is no such a thing as that you organize something perfectly and it will forever be. It's not like that. Everything is that anything that is arise due to compounded is subject to change. So that's why I think the first the practice that we do in order to face the face death is actually the way we live right now. The way we look at the life right now. It has to be changed, and that's important because some people say that I'm not scared of death. I don't mind. And so I don't know. Maybe they are saying that because they mean it, or maybe they haven't really understood what death means. Because when you see people when they lose their job, when they lose their home, when they lose their family, we seem to be go through a lot of pain. And when you are dying, you are not losing your job, you are not losing your family, you are losing everything, including the very body, That's why the body in Himalayan language is called Lu. Lu means to left behind. Right? Lu means that is the mind has to go and body has to be left behind. That's why it's called Lu. Right? Even the very body that we cherish so much has to be left behind. Right? So don't you really, are you 100% sure that it will not be painful? It will not be fearful? Are you sure? Right? So then, the end the way to handle that is to, even from now on, to have a understanding that this is a process that's happening all the time. It is something that is inescapable, so that you have a you don't have that much of illusion about it. I think one of the biggest pain in our life is you have an illusion about something, and that illusion gets broken. Right? Maybe it's about a job, maybe it's about a dream you have, whatever. So right now we have the illusions of permanency and unchanging, and so that is why now the attachment, the reducing the attachment, that is the key part. In our Himalayan region, whether we ourselves are dying, or when we lose, when we are about to, when we are going to meet people who are about to die, and if they give them a guidance, the one thing that we tell them is, don't be attached. You had a dream, very nice dream. In this dream, you had a husband, wife, family, kid, whatever. But now that dream has, ended, and now it's time for you to focus on Amitabha Buddha. Sanjay, remember your guru, remember your Chizundrema, Guru Rinpoche. Don't worry about it, because worrying will not help you anyway. It will just make you more attached. You are, more pain you feel. Right? Your most, favorite dress, if somebody wears it, is very painful. The one that you're going to throw out anyway, and if somebody steals it also, it doesn't matter. You can pretend to and look very generous. It doesn't matter. You take it, because you don't like this look anyway, right? Because you're not attached to it anyway. So even your sister or brother takes it, or you don't care about it, right? So the amount of the pain is equal to amount of attachment we have. And why do we have attachment? We have attachment because we have illusion of permanency. Permanency of everything. Relationship, body, looks, house, career, fame, influence, power, everything behind. We have this illusion of the permanency. That is permanent. That is not a compounded thing that is constantly changing, but it's something that is solid, inherently existing. Right? So that is why there is a attachment. So that is why in the Amitabha Buddha practice we talk about offering to Amitabha Buddha. When we say people are about to die, also we say, when you're about to die, the two most important is, one is to, to be remembered, remain non-attached. Now, non-attachment can have many levels. If you are someone who is a higher level practitioner, maybe you understood Dzogchen, Mahamudra, or emptiness, you understand non-attachment for you means union. Non-attachment for you means nothing that existed ever existed inherently. Like the debate between Buddha Shakya, not a debate, question and answer between Buddha Shakyamuni and the old lady. Old lady asked the Buddha, where does our body come from? The body, physical form, then the consciousness, the body and eyes and all of this, the senses. Where does it come from? Body, where does body come from? Where does it go? And Buddha said, when there is a fire, where does the fire come from? Right? Well, let's say we light a fire in front of us, maybe out of we have a bonfire. Where does the fire came? Where does the fire go? And the old lady answered, no, fire came from nowhere. Fire goes nowhere. When the fire and the kerosene and everything came together, then something called fire appeared. When these conditions are gone, so-called fire disappear. So Buddha said, your body and so-called what looks real is exactly the same. There is no, this house doesn't come from anywhere. This body doesn't come from anywhere, doesn't go anywhere. When the right conditions to make the body is formed, so-called body has there. When these conditions are gone, then it disappeared. That is to remind us of that teaching is the reason why, in the Vajrayana, when we do the Mingjang Sikni for the deceased people, we burn the paper that represents the deceased being, to represent that, so-called what we think as I, my body, existing, solid, real, like a real there, is basically arising due to so many cause conditions coming together. You take away your bone, skin, whatever, there is no, no body, there is no, something called body existing separately. There is not even one single atom called you can find that is inherently existent. Everything that looks solid is due to cause the conditions coming together. So that, so if you have that kind of understanding, that's a higher level, I think, a deeper level understanding. Or maybe it's a Dzogchen, where it's even the union of emptiness and the form, you have understanding. From that understanding level, you have no attachment. Then that's very good. You are a higher level practitioner. But even if you're not that higher level practitioner, at least understanding that, my body, my wealth, my fame has always been impermanent. It is not just today that I am dying and suddenly I am losing. Every second, it has been constant through constant change. And life itself is like a dream, like an illusion. In this my past 10 years or 30 years or 80 years of my life, how many people I have met, how many smiles and tears I have shed, how many joys and pain I have gone through. And now, except for memory, what is there? Nothing. Like waking up from the dream and you have nothing to share except the memory. So, so why should I be so? Let me not be attached. And the second way of reducing attachment is making offering to Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, right? You may not be at that time. We may not be in a position to physically offer. Right? We may not be able to even speak. But from the mental point of view, whatever I have, my body, my wealth, whatever, I offer to Amitabha Buddha. I offer to Guru Padma Sambhava. I offer. Right? I offer. So offering is also important because not only it accumulates the merit, but it's actually let go. Right? Offering in the Himalayan language is called chupa. Chut means to cut, right? Cut means to let go, right? Because without letting go, you cannot give anything. Even if you give deep inside your heart, you regret, right? Because you have not let go from the heart. From your hand you have given, but from your heart you want to pull it back, right? That's why giving $1 is easy, If it comes, you want to give to poor, and $100 comes, you put it back, You can't let it go, right? You can't let it go. So, the chupa means to letting go. So letting go is an important, practice because, because letting go, ability to let go will slowly have, many other understandings will develop. Because for example, let's say that you are married and then one day you got divorced, right? You are divorced, So legally you are not longer married, but you hear that your husband or your wife is going out with somebody, some other people, right? And you still feel pain and anger, right? Maybe you don't want him or her back in your life, but you still feel angry that she is going out with somebody else, right? So that means, then, because at that time, he or she is no longer your husband or wife, but you cannot let go of the idea, the concept that, he or she is still your husband or yours in some way, right? So the main pain comes from the idea, right? At concept, right? Attachment to that idea of somebody being this or that. And that idea is 100% happening in our head. It's not there. Nobody can see it, nobody can, read it. It's all happening in our own mind, right? Before you met your husband or wife, you had no idea what he does, whether he lives or dies also, you don't care, you don't even know, right? He or she, whatever. So the biggest difficulty, letting go is not just about physical, but letting go about our concepts. And we have so many concepts about so many things. Right? Everything is actually, every experience that we go through is a reflection of your concept. Right? When we think that, oh, that person is making me happy, or this object is making me happy, this watch is making me happy, it's not actually the watch, it's your idea of the watch. That's making me happy. It's your idea that this phone is very valuable and gives me status symbol, right? This is making me happy, right? If you are stuck in the desert with a very expensive phone, you will be happy to exchange it for a cup of water, right? Because the phone has no value, diamond has no value, but a cup of water has more value. If you're very sick, you are ready to give all your millions for a medicine that can cure you, right? So, what we are, the main kind of both our pain and the pleasure is actually reflection of our own ideas and the concept. So when it's not actually somebody making you happy, but he or she, is a reflection of your concept of who can make you happy or what kind of person can make you happy, right? And then so anyway, so that's why the Chöpa is important. Art of letting go is important, because only when we let go, we see things as they are, right? For example, you will say that, or you might say, oh, he is a very bad person, she is a very bad person, But then somebody else will say, no, actually he's a very good person, he's a very nice person, she's a very nice person, so and so. But you cannot see it that way. Because you cannot see it, because we are kind of consumed by our projection. We can't see that he or she is actually neither good or not bad. When you see it as a good, you see it as a good. When you see it as a bad, you see it as bad. I always kind of feel, I share this kind of example many times that, one day, you are married to somebody you love. Maybe your husband or wife, and someone criticizes your husband or wife, you'll be very angry, How dare you say like that about my wife or my husband? You will fight with that person, right? After some time, maybe you have an argument with your own partner, and you separate, and you don't like your wife anymore. And you will say, oh, actually you are right, I'm so sorry I fought with you, let's have a cup of coffee and talk about how bad she was or he was, right? That person you hated has suddenly become your best friend. Why? Because nothing has changed about your husband or your wife, but that time the projection was out of desire. You have attachment, desire towards the person you love. So that's why wherever there's desire, anything that's opposite to our desire will be seen as an enemy. Right? So as long as we have attachment to our friend, husband, wife, etc., anything that is seen opposing to that becomes our enemy, right? But when you have a hatred towards that object affection, person affection before, the person who hates that also becomes your friend, right? So basically, what I'm trying to say is that art of letting go is not just about physically letting go, but letting go of all these, concepts and ideas we have, right? And why is it important to let go? Because these ideas, trap us. We are all trapped in very many ideas. We are trapped in ideas of beauty. We are trapped in idea of success. And because of idea of success is so strong, and we cannot fulfill our idea, we feel like a failure. We feel like we are nobody because we do not have a, I do not know, maybe we don't have a, I don't know, a huge car, or we do not have like this, or I don't have a nice house, something like that, right? But that is actually a trap. Even you have the biggest house, there may be a huge, I don't know, this, this, what do you call it, this, the huge, this, the Americans like to drive, no, that it looks like a truck, no? It's like a, not an SUV, but like a truck. You have it and you feel you have done it, now you're successful. And you ask a donkey, or a dog, look how rich I am. Don't care, For a dog, the most valuable thing is the bone, right? And the poor dog is also stuck in his own concept that even if you give $1 million, he will, maybe pee on it and go back to his bone, Because dog is also stuck in the idea that, the bone is the most valuable thing, right? So we are all stuck in the bone. Dog is stuck in his concept, the bone being most valuable. We are stuck in a concept that, the paper we should call money, or nowadays we don't need even money, it's just a digital information, or this is a value. We are stuck in that, right? So wherever you are stuck, there is always a hope and fear, right? There is a hope and fear, there is a expectation, there is disappointment. When you see something as a positive, you cannot help but see something as a negative. If you have a strong idea that success is like this, wealth is very important, wealth is the real, the poverty is poverty, and the failure is something you will fear a lot. Now, I'm not saying that we don't want wealth, we want poverty. No, of course. Everybody should want wealth and success and blessing. I also wish everybody, but the reality is not all of us are going to become billionaires and millionaires, no? Right? And even if you do become, if you have, if you are stuck in that concept, I don't think, we will have much peace of mind, because there'll always be, our mind will create more competition, more, idea of a failure in success, our mind will keep producing. So that is why the offering, the letting go is not just about physical letting go, but mentally letting go of so many dualistic concepts we have, good and bad, success and failure, happy and sad, because if you cannot let go of these concepts, then if you cannot let go of happiness, suffering will definitely be there. If you cannot let go of, these are, coexist, this suffering exists in relation to happiness. Tall exists in relation to the short, right? Because these are existing in a relatively way. One kind of justifies or creates the concept of another. So that is why, then that's why we cannot be very relaxed. Even in the society also we have so many ideas about how a person should be, shouldn't be, who is a good person, who is a bad person, you should dress like this, dress like that. We have concept, and I'm not saying it's a bad, because when you live in a society, you need this kind of structure, no? I mean, women's bathroom, men shouldn't go. Men's bathroom, women shouldn't go. The third gender, I don't know where they go. I do not know really. I do not know. But anyway, you need this kind of, the structure. I'm not saying it's a bad, but this is something you need, but you don't necessarily have to believe it wholeheartedly, right? In America, you come and you drive on the right side. You go to England, you drive on the left side. But you don't have to believe wholeheartedly that is some sort of ultimate truth. Right? So anyway, okay. So now coming back to the fear, right? So we have, I think, when we are facing death ourselves, or when people we love, we are facing death, I think there are two primary kind of fear. One fear is, kind of unable to let go of the things that are so precious to us, family, loved ones, etc. Right? And and that is the one of the pain. That is why, in order to overcome that, understanding thing as a non-inherent existing, impermanence, I think these are important. And then making offering to Buddha, Amitabha, etc. Even from now, right? When we make offering to Tara, why do we say, I offer beautiful flowers to Tara, because it's not that Tara likes the flower, but we have such a strong concept about beauty, beautiful house, beautiful person, beautiful job, beautiful, dress. We have so many things, and because we have such a strong concept, that is why today I cannot get my beautiful dress, I am depressed. Today my nail is broken, I am depressed. I cannot get the beautiful house that I have, that's why I feel. These, what do you call it, the concepts, what do you call it, traps us in the hope and fear. So the second, I think, the fear we have is, if we do understand, then what is next for us? Where are we going to go? Where can be reborn? Where our loved ones can be reborn? What can we do? For that is the part where, how to be born, Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, the teaching and the prayer comes. So today we have just given a kind of rough summary, right? So tomorrow I think we will go, we'll read the prayer also, and then we'll go into detail. Okay. So with that, thank you very much for today's session.